No, I'm good. 144. This is the freaking podcast for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 144 of the MTB podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery. I'm Jeff.
I'm Liam.
And I'm Trevor.
And Jared is still out. He's actually back from his honeymoon, but he's on a honeymoon hangover. Is that a thing?
Never been on one, don't know.
Yeah, me neither. But that's what he's on.
It's a thing. Yeah, I think so.
International travel.
International
hard
travel.
To come home with a comfortable stomach after.
Yeah.
He drank too much olive oil. He's trying to keep his olive oil voice ready to go.
He
drank
probably
too much
did
olive oil.
ingest too much olive oil.
Probably too much beer, too.
And beer.
Probably too much beer.
He did go to Oktoberfest.
Yeah, definitely too much beer.
Yeah.
Well, in this episode, we will discuss ... I forgot to write the intro. Not the first time that this has happened. A quick tip on bike sizing, what bike size to buy, and Liam's refreshed bike, Trevor's new bike, a bunch of listener questions that
Jeff
I
can't
promise
stop
will be
destroying
good.
his body.
Yeah, that's in there. That is in there. If you're watching this on YouTube, you might notice that I have gauze and tape all over my hands, which I'll discuss later. But more importantly, Zach's words of wisdom. Go ahead, Wills.
Say something positive, and you might just see something positive.
Yep. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Didn't you call him the most positive pessimist or something today?
I called him the most positively pessimist person here. Yeah.
Because of some comment he made.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few of the guys that go into the Dodger-Padres playoff game tomorrow. They got some tickets. So
There's a few people here who like baseball and know what it is.
the three people who know what baseball is,
Yeah.
and there's 20 innings and 7 scores, a couple touchdowns,
Something like that.
Do you know anything about baseball?
I played baseball.
I know
for
enough
years,
about
yeah.
baseball
Oh, you do?
to know what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Baseball's the only sport I actually played till almost till high school.
Oh, nice.
He was like, "Yeah, no, tomorrow's gonna be awesome if we make it there." But he's just so happy about it. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know if we make it. You know what I mean? You never know what's gonna happen.
Got to wake up first.
Yeah, or we could, die in a car accident." We're just like, "Okay, Zach."
Well, it's
That's
all over the
funny.
place. You never know. Never know what you're going to get. Daniel's fun fact. Read it off, Trevor.
40. 40 is the only number that is spelt with letters arranged in alphabetical order.
Well, if I didn't learn that today,
The
I
more
don't know
you know.
what I would have done.
Useful. Or should we call them useful facts? Or I guess that's why they're fun facts.
Or
'cause they might
maybe
not
we
be
should
useful.
call them Daniel's useless fun facts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any way of that benefiting my life.
Unless you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire
Yeah.
sometime.
You should use it as a pickup line. Just roll up to a girl at a bar, slam your drink down. 40. It's the only number spelled alphabetical order. Good work.
He's like, yeah, I'll see myself out now.
Good work. Oh, good work. Fantastic testimonials. Did you paste this one in? I had a note, but did
No,
you do that? I don't know who
No,
did that.
Jared set up his talk and then he left.
All right, he did. He set it up, and then he said he has stomach ache. So these dudes are great. Fun to listen to. Just a group of dudes who love mountain bikes and love to ride. Catch up on the latest and greatest things currently happening in the industry. Here's some tech talk on parts, or get awesome listener questions answered. That's all we've been wondering ourselves. This is hard to read.
Someone didn't proofread this.
Well, my fantastic testimonial, actually, I had a different take on this whole topic today. One, we got a really good review from a guy in Hawaii who's just absolutely stoked because
Shocking,
we
bro.
actually have free shipping to Alaska and Hawaii. And he wrote a whole paragraph saying how awesome that was because every other place on the planet has fine print that says not including Alaska and Hawaii.
That's cool. They probably do get screwed by everybody for that.
They probably
Yeah.
do. Yeah, we actually have free shipping to all the states, including Alaska and Hawaii.
Puerto Rico?
Well, I don't think so, but I can't remember off the top of my
I
head.
can't either.
Yeah.
It's always a question when
Someone's
I
gonna comment
customer
now.
service.
And email us.
Well, it's technically not a state, but it's whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to go over the Puerto Rico question. I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah. It's
next-
probably on our FAQ on our site.
Next
You guys can look it
episode,
up.
I will jump into that. But speaking of testimonials, I had a favor to ask all of you listeners and or watchers, depending on how you're consuming this podcast. We have literally thousands and thousands of positive reviews all over the place, but one place. It is this weird website called Trustpilot, which is kind of one of those weird scammy, it's almost a new age Better Business Bureau, where if you have a business, people can go there and complain, and then they go to you as the business and they say, hey, if you subscribe for $150 a month in order to reply to reviews, and then you can debate reviews or counter reviews or remove things you think are spam, but you have to pay us to do that and register as a business on it. It's kind of total BS, to be honest. And let me just explain in our business. So we process well over a couple 100,000 orders a year. And with that many orders, there's always going to be some small percentage of people who are impossible to please. You could call them irate, irrational, borderline, psychopathic. I don't know. Any other choice words you might call these types of people.
But we love our customers.
The kind of people that we love 99.99% of our customers. And then there's a portion of people who are just the kind of people who leave 1-star reviews for every business they interact with their whole life.
Can't please everybody.
Can't please everybody. And we've got a handful of those whack jobs on Trustpilot. If you want to go and read their reviews, you will see exactly what I mean. It's the kind of reviews you read and you just go, oh, well, not considering that guy's opinion.
Place an order on Friday at 7 p.m. Didn't go out for 3 days. Didn't get my question answered.
These are like way weirder people. Let me give you an example. One guy, 1-star review all over the place. We had a bike that was, I think it was 20 or 30% off. It was a closeout situation. There's a lot of those this year, and it had gone out of stock. The day after it had gone out of stock in all sizes, we have this automatic thing that says, put your email in to be notified if this ever comes back in stock. And he did that and then called us, and he got some email notification. And then we said, oh yeah, that's discontinued. It's not coming back in stock. And he goes on this massive tirade about how we're fishing for people's emails with fake discounts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just totally nuts, like screaming over the phone about this, and then leaves 1-star reviews all over the place that we're fishing for people's emails with fake pricing on products we don't have in stock. Like, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Yep.
So my favorite ask is if you just Google Worldwide Cyclery Trustpilot, if you wouldn't mind dropping us a positive review, I would really appreciate that, and it would help us cover up some of those whack jobs, as I like to call them.
Yeah, whenever I'm looking
Knuckleheads.
I'm looking at a review site or Yelp or whatever, like, yeah, sometimes it can get pretty toxic on there, and you see the bad star reviews and horrible complaints, and I really try to not look at those at all.
Well, then you also click on that person's Yelp profile, and all they leave,
everyone they leave, it's
9
it's
1-star,
without fail.
1 5-star.
Yeah.
Exactly.
9 1-star, 1 5-star.
And
It's
probably what they're complaining about is actually not that big a deal, and there's 99 other 5-star reviews where they had excellent service, and that's probably what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So take it with a grain of salt.
Yep.
All the smart, rational people out there understand all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the 99.99% of our customers. Well, next segment, bikes and rides we've been enjoying.
Bikes.
Liam, go ahead. What have you been riding?
Bikes.
What bikes and rides have you been enjoying lately?
Well, I've gone through a bit of a bike shuffle in the last few weeks.
You have.
And the season.
What a surprise.
I mean,
This never happened.
No, hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my Rail 29, I had that for a year and a half. That's ancient in my book. Still really great bike, but so that one was just time for it to move on, right? It needs a new home. Then I also sold the ASR because it was end of season, and I just wanted to sell that. And then I ended up coming into another ASR frame from a buddy of mine, so I built back up an ASR, but this time a little bit different. So this one has Fox suspension, same suspension that Jeff has on his ASR. It's a 34 step cast, grip SL damper, and a float SL rear shock. Just kind of built it up. Basically be like my old ASR, just slightly beefier. Like everything's
Code brakes on it.
I put Code RSCs, Code Stealth Ultimate RSCs, yeah. And Code Stealth Ultimates, yeah.
Yeah.
160 rotors though.
I think it's a cool setup. I love it.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
You love things like that. You were just telling me the other day you wanted to put a Float X on an ASR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a 130 fork or
Sounds
something.
rad.
Yeah, and I was arguing with you and said, we'll agree to disagree because that to me makes no sense. So
That's fair. That's fair.
I wouldn't overbike my suspension on a bike that is designed to be lightweight and slightly not very stiff.
Hear me out. I had the brakes, so this is a zero cost install.
Yeah, you got a reason for that.
Second part, it was I did the math, and I think it was 88 grams or 85 grams to go from level ultimate 2 pistons to Code ultimate 4 pistons. 85 grams.
That's
There's a tire
And then-
variance
and
more
then
than 85
hard to
grams.
believe that it was only 85 grams, but still every gram counts.
SRAM website gave me the facts.
See, I don't know. I think I went away to myself.
Well, I didn't care that much.
Also, with,
Yeah.
he has the 160 rotors on there too, so it's
Yeah.
not like you have this
That's where most of the weights
just
wrapped up.
crazy bite too. It's like going to be
Mhm.
like pretty manageable power. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see when you ride it.
Yeah,
But
smaller rotor, no adapters for like a 180 mil rotor,
Yeah.
right? So like say I did those old brakes with 180 mils and adapters, that could be
You got
80
a
grams
point
right there.
You know what's funny is I can make these comments, but I almost bet you if I rode your bike with those codes, I'd want them on my ASR.
Yeah.
Whenever you ride a bike with more powerful brakes than you're used to, you just kind of come back going, I really want those brakes.
And I rode it over the weekend without the brakes. I had the 2 pots on still, and we rode just a stupid skidder trail that we don't ride that often. Jorge with codes on his ASR couldn't stop and tomahawk down the trail.
Nice.
So it's just, I don't know. Sometimes we ride these bikes in stupid spots, and
Yeah,
You know.
and in that case, you know.
so yeah, I've been liking that bike a lot. It's fun. It's fast. It's like simple, way more simple than my old ASR, which I'm kind of into. You have to go from 9 batteries to having 1 battery,
Yeah, because your old one, you had flight attendant on it.
flight attendant, power meter, zip tire pressure sensors, everything.
So you got no tire pressure sensors, no flight attendant,
None of that. No,
no cable actuated lockout.
no cable actuated lockout. No electronic lockout. Fox Transfer SL cable actuated post, and then I just
Only
have
2 batteries now.
Yeah, I guess
Right?
2. I've got a controller for my SRAM XX and the derailleur. So,
pretty sweet.
Digging that.
It looks super good in my opinion
Yeah, it
too.
does
It's got
look
the
good.
gold fork and Kashima shock,
Oh, and-
Kashima dropper post too, and his frame was custom painted, so it's like just a unique build too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just looks cool.
yep.
Yeah.
And
those are
then-
really good.
Been riding a Rascal V2 as well. That's been super fun. Kind of making it a little bit more beefy as that kind
The
of.
Revel Rascal V2. Is that the one with the Lewis brakes on it?
Yep, that has Lewis
Yeah.
brakes on it right now. And
So far, so good during the
Super good.
testing phase of those
super
brakes?
good. I haven't bled them once since the initial install. They're great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Powerful?
Super powerful.
Powerful, like codes?
More, I'd say they're more powerful than codes. And they're a bit more on off, which is a little harder for me to get used to.
Mhm.
But that's a me thing. That's not like a.
yeah.
it's
Some
just a-
people like that.
Some people
don't,
love it,
yeah.
right? But it's harder when you're going from like a SRAM brake to like that, and it just instant bites that front wheel, and it almost
Yeah,
like pulls you. You know?
It's just gonna take some time.
Yeah. I'm after like a 1 downhill on it. I'm used to it. It's just hopping straight on it a little bit. So yeah, it's been super fun.
Cool.
You ridden the Lewis brakes yet?
I haven't, but I've felt them on Liam's bike, and they do feel super good. And the lever feel is weightless.
Yeah.
It
that
like,
is cool.
feels like
Completely
there's no
weightless.
resistance whatsoever, which is kind of crazy. I think that would take a bit getting used to and figuring out where it bites and stuff. But I think
Mhm.
once you got used to it, man, I think you would love it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't think of a negative for that really. I mean, the new codes are pretty good, and then the Hayes Dominions are also very good as well. But I think
Yeah.
I like the lever feel of just from the parking lot test of the Lewis brakes a
Lewis,
little bit
yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't want to put those Lewis brakes on my Banshee. I just
Yes.
want the Banshee
look
already
good on-
has
they
such
look really
crazy
good on
weird
there,
parts
yeah.
on it. Mostly the Intense suspension,
mhm.
but it'd be a cool bike to just test sort of off the wall, small brand
Yeah.
products on.
Yeah, they look sweet.
we can do that.
They look all machined and
Yeah, they look
and
really
just super cool. Looks like super good with all the Trail One stuff as well. Like
Yeah.
just matches super nice. It just looks very high end.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I'm gonna
It's a good
get a blog out soon and working on getting them on the site. So
Cool. Very cool. Well, Trevor,
very nice.
So-
we were going to have this as a topic here, but we can just go right into it. What
Yeah.
bike and rides have you been enjoying lately?
So yeah, I was again on my SB 140 for almost 2 years actually, which is a long time, especially with how much I ride and how hard I ride. So that was time for a little break on that and kind of just figuring out what bike I want to choose next. And I've kind of been going in between an ASR, and I've also been trying the Forbidden Druid V2, which is a 130, 150 travel bike, high pivot, which is something like way different. Jared had one of them before. He just raved about it. They've been selling
made a whole YouTube video about it.
Yep, they've been selling on the site really good. I've been building up a bunch of them, so I've been pretty curious about how they ride. So we have a demo bike and put my wheels on it and some beefy tires, and been going on some rides, and I just took it to Big Bear for closing day, which was, I was a little bit skeptical, like, 130 bike at Big Bear and at the bike park and hitting jumps. And I was so impressed. It was really cool to just ride jumps, go to flat, like, or case a jump. But it just gave a really stable platform. Corners, like, unlike a bike, I've never cornered a bike so well than that bike. Maybe it's the chainstay's growing or whatever, but it puts me in a really good position, and the bottom bracket feels like it's in a good place too, where it's just stuck to the ground. So
yeah,
super impressed with that. It's a little bit tough to pedal. Like, if you were to do a big pedal ride, I don't know if I'd really like that, just because like, the friction is not that much friction with the idler pulley guide, but you do feel it a little bit. And if you had like a dirty drivetrain or something, it would probably be like a little nasty. So
yeah, I think they claim like clean drivetrain. It's like a 10-watt decrease, which isn't huge if you're not racing.
Much, yeah.
Would you mind more on a long fire road climb or a technical single track climb that was also long?
Yeah, I think like, if I was doing single track, I'd get kind of annoyed with it. On a fire road, it's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
I think that where the bike is designed, like up in Canada, in BC, you're doing these huge fire road climbs, going to the top of a super steep hill, and then just bombing down, cool downhill, and like a loam trail or something. I think that bike would be excellent for that. I think that for around here, we do such long traverses and rides, and single track would be tough for that. But it's really cool that you can take a 130 travel bike and ride it hard at a bike park, or any trail, and it really just feels great. So got to do a little bit more experimenting with that, but super happy with first couple rides I've done on it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Forbidden's on fire. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're killing it right now.
Making awesome bikes, and people are very interested, and the bikes look good and work good, and people are loving them. So
yeah, I've never ridden a bike that feels that way. It almost feels like bottomless for a 130 bike. There's no like harsh bottom out when you do bottom out, and you have a really stable platform, and yeah, super cool.
Makes me want to try one. I have to do that.
Yep.
I might have to do that, because God, those bikes look so good.
I know.
And this one, like, the stack's pretty high. This one's an S3, so the reach is 480, so works pretty good for me.
480 in the large.
S3.
Maybe
large.
I'll get a S2 and we can trade off a little bit. Have it as a demo, but we can have a little setup.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Hey, perfect transition into my tip of bike sizing, which I just threw on here because I was messaging someone about it on Instagram today, because he'd asked me about the sizing of that ASR, and I replied back and just said, yeah, I generally prefer a bike that has a 470 reach with a 32 mil stem, plus or minus a little bit depending on what kind of bike it is. And in saying that, I realized that's actually kind of a useful tip, and the tip, to be a little bit more broad, is to know what reach and stem length you like, because that's where that really comes down. I think people, if you're going to ride mountain bikes and switch your bikes out, buy new bikes, you should start to really pay attention to what bike feels really good to you, and then go, okay, what reach does this bike have, and what stem length do I have on here? And okay, that's a good starting point to know, because then if you go to another brand and they call it S1, 2, and 3, or another brand that calls it small, medium, large, and another brand calls it small, medium, and large, and they're 25 millimeters different per size than the last brand you looked at. I just think all of that should just be, size should be reach related. And I just think people should try and figure out what reach they like and what stem length.
I was literally, I don't know, it could be the same person. They didn't ask me about ASR, but some guy on Instagram asked me the same thing basically. Has a
It's got to be one of the most common questions.
Has a 2017 YT Capra, I believe. And was like, hey, I want to get an XL. And I was like, he's like a friend of mine as well. And I was like, well, 2017 large is like a 2022 plus medium, right? Like, look at your reach, look at your wheelbase, and now look at what modern bikes are going to match that.
Yeah.
Because from what's 2017? That's almost 8 years ago. As far as product cycle goes,
it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot since then. So like, yeah, a large from then is like today's medium, maybe even smaller.
Yeah.
So I was like, look at those numbers, reach, wheelbase, and then kind of go from there and, see what you want. Cause and even today's standards, a large from one company is not a large from the other company.
That's the biggest problem is that none of these small through double XL make any sense when it's different between all these different brands.
You and I kind of float medium large depending on the brand.
Depending on the brand. Yeah.
Trevor kind of floats large XL depending on the brand.
Yep.
Yeah. And also what you're riding for. What do you want? What's your terrain?
It's pretty crazy how
good?
much that makes your riding experience different too.
Yes, absolutely.
Like when I got to Big Bear, got to get a couple downhill runs in, and I was like, man, my front end feels super low. Like this doesn't feel natural. I'm used to having some riser bars on here and a little bit like a high stack, and just I'm pretty tall. And first thing I did was I put more pressure in the fork, which made the fork not dive in as much because I was riding it so low, which again is like kind of a stack thing and reach thing. And then I also raised the my steer tube a little bit by 10 mil, and boom, good to go. Felt comfortable immediately, was able to turn better, like ride faster, ride with more confidence, and it's little things like that. If you just pay attention to it, makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I just put a 150 air shaft in that Rascal V2, and it instantly went from
I love
trail
the
bike,
Rascal, the 150.
Yeah, trail bike to like I could kind of push this pretty good. Trail Duro, yeah.
That's the most ridiculous word.
Yeah.
Just gives you a little bit more confidence, which goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean 140, 150, it's not going to lose anything on a climb. You're not going to I'm not racing that bike uphill anyways. Yeah. So it's like, why would you not it's no heavier. You just literally are adding a little bit height to it, a little bit slack, a little bit wheelbase, a little bit of height.
Yeah. I mean, being comfortable on the bike, I just think is it's paramount.
I think it's number one.
So important. Yeah. Because if you're comfortable on the bike, then you're going to have way more fun out there and ride faster and, ride with less nerves, and everything's going to be good. So put in the time and effort to be comfortable on the bike and make little tweaks like you were talking about.
And all those tweaks are free.
Yeah.
Add a spacer, add some air pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be afraid to do it. Like went to the car, I put some air pressure and I'm like, we're here. I'm just going to change this now. Like I have an Allen set with me. I'm going to raise the bars a little bit. It's going to take me 2 minutes and good to go.
You weren't lazy.
Was not late. Don't be lazy.
Nice work.
Yeah. Don't be lazy.
Yeah.
Make your experience for the rest of the day better, because and maybe it's not better and go back,
Yep.
Yeah.
But at least you tried it.
Yep. Yeah. Good tips. Hopefully this was helpful for our fellow mountain bikers.
Hope so. And if not, well, we tried.
Yeah. At least we put our best effort. Bikes and rides I've been enjoying have been nothing because what did I do? Well, okay, and that's not totally
stop
true.
Destroying your body.
Yeah, I've messed up my body once again. I finally recovered from the adventure race, and then I got on a plane and went to Pennsylvania to visit our shop out there. And I did go on one mountain bike ride out there. I rode in a place called Camp Mac with the Gretna crew. So Mount Gretna is this place in Pennsylvania, and they have an incredibly engaged weekly ride group. And they don't always ride Mount Gretna, which I thought, but no, they actually spread their wings a little bit and go to some different spots. And I rode with that group, which, man, it was maybe 20 people. It's pretty
cool.
It's a pretty big group. Most of the time I'm out there, I try to get on that ride because Jason, our logistics guy out there, he rides with them religiously on the Thursdays, and super fun. And I rode a Ranger, just one of the demo bikes that we had, Rebel Ranger, and it was perfect for out there. And it was actually a really fun place to ride, and yeah, it was a good ride. It was a good fun time, and I was like, oh, that was awesome. And
it's always good to go on a group ride.
Yeah, and Pennsylvania is just so different, and there was a lot of fall foliage, so a lot of leaves on the ground. We actually rode some secret loamers.
Oh, loamer!
Yeah, some of the guys who were sort of guiding the route you split the group in two at one point because there was some really steep chute, and there was literally a steep secret loamer that he sent us all down. It was rad. I was not expecting to go ride something like that when I went out there.
Yeah. But
yeah, it was really cool. So that was a fun ride. And then I came back to California Friday night, and Saturday morning drove up to Mammoth Mountain for a family vacation. And on the way up to Mammoth, while driving, Taylor goes, "Hey, there's the obstacle course racing world championships in Mammoth this weekend." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. See if we can sign up for something." And so she found one race we could sign up for that last minute, which was essentially the last race of the festival, of the event, which was on Sunday, and it was a charity run, and it was untimed, open course, and you just got to run the entire obstacle course that all the world championships happened on and attempt all those obstacles. But it was just untimed and for fun and for charity. So we signed up for that. which ended up being 4 miles, 1,100 feet. You kind of went straight up a ski run to start out with, and a bunch of random stuff. If you've ever done an obstacle course race, they make you climb over walls. They make you do a bunch of elaborate monkey bar-like things, and there was a lot of that stuff. And the way it works is you get this wristband, and they cut the wristband off if you can't complete an obstacle.
Mm.
And if you remain with the wristband at the finish, then you get the 100% completion. And so I was pretty determined to see if I could do that. And I was getting one after the next obstacles, and then I kept trying some that were extremely hard. And then my hands started bleeding, which is a very common thing in the sport because there was blood all over a lot of these obstacles. And I managed to rip every callus off of both of my hands. And my hands are now completely destroyed. And in hindsight, that probably wasn't very smart because it's very painful. And now I'm like immobilized.
Healing for 10 to 2 weeks, 10 days. To 2
I
weeks.
honestly don't know how long this is going to keep me off the bike. Because
I'm going to say 2 weeks minimum.
Probably 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So my hands are absolutely wrecked, but I did complete every single obstacle.
So
Good job, Jeff.
at what cost? Unknown, but you got your little participation trophy.
I did. I pretty much did. It was fun, man. You had to climb ropes. You had to do all these crazy Ninja Warrior like obstacles. There was sandbag carries and big aluminum slab walls that you had to climb up, and it was a ton of fun. But yeah, absolutely wrecked my hands. Just in pursuit of saying I completed all the obstacles, which once again in hindsight maybe wasn't the best idea. Taylor, she did about half of them. She pushed herself really hard. She climbed a 25-foot vertical rope, which was pretty crazy. Took her a couple tries. She was like shaking after it, and she is so sore because she doesn't do upper body workouts like that, so she can't even lift her arms up. She's so sore. So it's a hell of a sport to go into if you
Off the couch,
yeah, especially if you don't train for that sort of thing. So yeah, I kind of am now back to square one on the recovery train, and at least I can run. Just can't really hold on to a handlebar for a while. So well.
Or do like many things. Like, does it hurt to like squeeze your hands right now?
Oh yeah, I can't make a grip like tighter than that.
Wow.
No chance. Yeah. Did you see the pictures?
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
It looks like someone took a small spoon and just scooped downwards and just pulled the whole callus off.
And it's literally every single one of the calluses in the hand.
Definitely.
Which most people who ride bikes will know. They have, generally, I have 3, right? Because my index finger is always on the brake lever, so I have 3 calluses. So every single one is
and even
cleaved off.
Yeah.
Solid. Good job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Just another weekend for Jeff.
just another weekend. Oh boy. All right. Well, let's roll into.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Feeling overwhelmed by endless political chatter and virtue signaling? Well, it's time to dive into all the Worldwide Cyclery content. Nothing but pure mountain bikes with our absolute promise to keep it fun, PG-13, and always, always free of even a queef of anything political. We have a podcast, YouTube channel, and a website full of well-written, in-depth articles about all things mountain bikes.
And now, back to the show.
Listener questions. We got a nice batch here. Trevor, why don't you read this first one off?
Who from the Worldwide Cyclery staff would fight Mike Tyson for $10,000, and what would their walkout music be?
I mean, I only know one person that will probably agree to that low of a number.
Weaver.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
He's not the toughest guy, but he'll do a lot of things for money.
No matter how tough you are.
No,
he'll fight Mike Tyson.
He literally will stand up, get hit, get his $10,000, and his walkout music will definitely be Taylor Swift. I don't know any Taylor Swift songs. Maybe Miley Cyrus.
He would do Miley Cyrus for sure.
Miley Cyrus.
I was thinking of like a tough song, not but he would definitely walk out to Miley Cyrus.
It'd be one of those two.
I was thinking of like DMX, like Rough Riders.
He doesn't even know what DMX is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're totally right about that. He has no idea.
No idea.
But it would be like Party in the USA.
It would honestly be kind of interesting to see Mike Tyson fight a general guy right now, just to see what would happen.
Interesting. Just look up One Punch Knockout, and that would be what the fight would look like.
Yeah, but maybe he would play around with him a little, like
give him a couple gut punches.
With a mouse that a cop
it's like a lion versus a mouse.
Yeah. Give him a couple gut punches.
Wasn't Mike Tyson gonna fight somebody? Jake Paul. Why didn't that ever happen?
I think it's happening.
God, that would be
I think it's happening.
I don't know. I have no clue.
I just hope he doesn't ruin his legacy, because he's such a legend. I don't know how staged it is and stuff. Right. Like there's a lot of money on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is Jake Paul like a boxing WWE fighter? Or is he a real boxer?
I think he's like a wrestler turned boxer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's like, from what I've heard, is like somewhat legit. But Mike Tyson is like, he's the GOAT, right? So
Yeah.
But we digress.
yes.
Have any of you guys ever tested out a Springdex coil spring? What are your thoughts on it? My answer is no.
My
But
answer
you
is
have, so-
yes.
My answer is no, but I've know a lot of people who have run them.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I had one on a SB130.
Can you please explain to
Couple
the
years ago.
listeners
Oh, yeah.
what it is?
Springdex spring is a coil spring that you put on a coil rear shock damper. And the Springdex comes in like a range, say it's like a 300 to 340 spring rate range. And you can basically slide an adjuster and it allows the spring to either compress more or compress less based on what you're trying to achieve.
That's
So
not,
it's a slightly adjustable coil spring. So say you are in between a 300 or a 325, you can kind of bounce back and forth and see what you might like.
yeah, it's not a huge range difference. It's not like it's a 300 to 400. It's like what Liam said. It's just little incremental steps, but it's really good for testing suspension. If you want to try something out or tuning your suspension to like a specific area, you can have it a little bit better for a certain
because you can
area.
essentially test 2 different spring rates without having to take the whole rear shock off the bike.
Yeah,
For
but
the most
normally,
part.
you're testing like, let's say like a 400 to 450 or 450 to like 475 or whatever. It's just like a little bit less than that. So
Yeah.
it's just a fine tuning device.
Yeah, I think it's good. I'm not 100% sure if it's better than like a just proper spring that's in your spring rate. But that being said, it's a great way to buy one spring, kind of see where you're at, and then maybe buy the expensive one after that.
I guess to me the irony would be that the cost of 2 springs would be less than 1 Springdex.
It depends. Some of those SLS springs are expensive. I don't know.
The SLS ones are. You're right.
And like,
Okay.
or the
So it
ones-
would be more expensive than just 2 basic steel springs,
Yeah, I believe it would be.
but it wouldn't. Yeah, maybe not less than like an SLS spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like
Those-
the other ones we're carrying, Super Alloy Racing or SAR springs.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty pricey, but they're super good quality. And like,
Yeah.
I
There's
think
no
they're,
binding on them.
there's no binding. They're rated to like a really precise number. Cause that's the other thing is like, the cheaper the spring, it's not actually a 300. It could be a 280. It could be a 320.
Yeah, somebody tested a lot of that
Yeah,
stuff. and
exactly.
They weren't accurate.
They're not that accurate. So yeah, usually when you pay for a more expensive spring, you are getting a more accurate number of what you're getting.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, here's a Downeyville question, perfect for you 2 blokes.
Speak for yourself, buddy. I'm planning a trip to Downeyville for mid-October. I know I have like a week to plan, and yeah, this will come out in a week, so you're probably going to be there. But I'm not too familiar with the area. Do you guys have any good suggestions for cabin campsites in the KOA area? I don't know what that means. La KOA area?
He says a la KOA area.
A la KOA?
Like a la carte, a la KOA
A la-
area.
Hmm.
You know KOA? Like that.
What rides would you suggest? What shuttle is toughest I've ridden without dying is Slick Rock and Moab. The others with me are better riders than I am. There's some Kokanee cabins up by Sierra City. There's some cabins right outside of Downeyville across the highway, and I don't know what they're called.
You could probably get like an Airbnb out there. No
And you could probably get an
especially-
Airbnb this time as well.
Mid-October.
Yeah, I got an Airbnb when I went out there. And it was great.
Yeah.
I went with 4 buddies and it was perfect.
Yeah. So that, I mean, the rides, the Downeyville classic downhill run is like, if you're riding it as a normal ride, it'll probably take you an hour and a half to 2 hours. Such a fun shuttle run. There's also, oh man, I'm blanking on the names of the other loops you can do around there. Go to the bike shop in town, ask them what rides they do, and I believe they also do shuttles. So that'll kind of be your one-stop shop.
Yeah, and then the riding there isn't overly gnarly.
No,
it's
it's
actually
not.
just really good trail
Mhm.
the whole time. It's nothing. I mean, the only thing gnarly that I would say is that they're at the bottom of the trail next to the river. There is a bit of exposure, so you just want to make sure you're not like clipping your handlebars or clipping a pedal on some of those sections, or maybe walk them just to be safe because it is pretty gnarly in that section. But the rest of it is totally fine. Way less gnarly than Slick Rock and Moab,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So
And I'm guess
Very different though.
very couldn't be more different.
Yeah. if you're on a trail bike, the waterfall section's not all that hard either. It's difficult when you're under biking it like how we do at the classic, but
Yeah.
if you're on a trail bike, like you should be able to smash right through it.
Yeah, don't follow our race setups for Downeyville. You will not have as good of a time
Yeah.
as you would on a conventional trail or enduro type bike.
Yep.
You'll have a great time on that, guaranteed.
Yeah, it's just a really good place to take a vacation to ride mountain bikes because super fun area, incredible.
I think
trails.
my favorite place in California.
Yeah, and definitely like pay for a shuttle. It's definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
Instead of you're not going to be pedaling it. It's too big, and to self shuttle is kind of a logistic nightmare. So I would go for a shuttle for sure.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, next question. Has anyone actually seen Jeff do one of these adventure races? Seems like he's just trying to look like a tough guy. He's probably off glamping with his pal Elon. Do you know how these CEO types be? That's a great question.
It's a great question.
Yeah, I would fake your hands?
Yeah, it's just fake bandages,
yeah.
fake photos and everything. I would much rather be glamping with Elon than doing the adventure race. Yeah.
Jeff's a humble guy. He does some crazy stuff and doesn't really share to the world what he does or post on social media or anything like that. Media. We had a sale for Jeff Survive.
Oh yeah, we did.
Which kind of explained what you did, but normally you do stuff like that and we barely even know. So let alone the general public.
Someone's like, hey, have you talked to Jeff this week? I'm like, no, he's, in another country doing some crazy thing. Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, I did the 3 hardest things I've ever done in my life all this year. I don't really know why that ended up just stacking up like that, but it just kind of happened. But I would love to go glamping with Elon. So Elon, if you're listening, sup, dude.
Sup, dude. Sliding
Elon's
DMs.
a bit Elon's on the edge these days. Very controversial.
He's definitely on the edge.
He's going hard right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the edge, and I don't know. Is he the funnest person to glamp with?
No way. But he would still be interesting to speak to. He knows a lot of interesting things that I would love to implore about.
Besides your hands and I guess your condition before this obstacle race you did, were you feeling fully recovered from your previous adventure race?
Yeah, I was.
Feeling good?
Coming into Pennsylvania, I was, all those weird clogged up eyelid problems that I had, those are all finally cleared up. My gut came back to normal, which was good. Might be TMI, but my farts started smelling the usual again. But after a thing like that adventure race, it really just throws your stomach for a wrench. So yeah, I was feeling great. And then I destroyed my hands at an obstacle race. But for that week prior to that, it was good. I was feeling just fine. So but maybe I'll let people know about what adventure races I'm doing once I get some on the calendar for next year. And this guy can come.
Yeah, he can come and watch.
Or he can come and participate.
Or maybe instead of racing it super competitively, you can do it just casually and then vlog it or something.
That would be cool. Yeah, I sometimes have these like ideas where, this would be so fun to record this or that, and then it comes down to it, I just don't really care.
It's hard and it kind of ruins your experience a lot.
Yeah, it does. I also just spend so much time around technology all day for work that when I go ride bikes or do something like an adventure race or something else, I just don't really want to be messing with my phone or cameras. I just want to enjoy being outside and solace.
I heard something pretty interesting because Bernard Kerr has a pretty successful vlog on YouTube.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
It's really good. It's entertaining and he does a good job with it, but he records everything. And like during a race weekend, not on a race weekend, whatever, like he documents a lot of the stuff, like post run, recording the GoPro, like all this stuff. And people were asking, like, or I saw a comment saying like, do you think you would place better if you didn't have a vlog? Like if you were like fully focused on racing and not turning on and off your GoPro and explaining what's happening and showing the atmosphere, like I think it'd be better if you were just fully focused, so kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah, sometimes, I mean,
it's his job though,
it's a balance, right? You have someone like Richie Rude that doesn't do any social media besides like repost some photos.
Yeah.
And he wins a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you have Charlie Murray or Jack Meyer on the enduro side, like I get more enduro content from them and I know what's going on from their YouTube channels than I do the actual Warner Brothers EWS programming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
and they're able to win too.
And they're doing good. They're still, maybe they don't beat Richie every time, but like they're right there. So
I mean, content creation as a professional athlete is a huge piece of the puzzle these days.
Yeah.
Especially in a sport like mountain biking where you're not just gonna have enough cash laying around and not do any extra credit work.
Yeah. Unless you're winning everything like Richie Rude, and then it's like, you don't need a vlog, dude.
Yeah.
But
you're good.
Every single person at Rampage this year has a vlog for building and the week leading up and everything. It's insane. Like there's like 25 videos last night on YouTube.
Yeah. You really got to be a diehard fan to watch all those,
Yeah, like I watched 2 of them and like, cool, that's enough.
Because it's just relatively the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
But
All right. Next question.
Nice little tangent. Did the president/owner or CEO of Revel Bikes recently change? And if so, why? Yes, it did. He did. Adam stepped down from CEO.
You know what I just realized would be a good idea for this? Would be to just reference Adam's Instagram post where he talked about it.
Oh, there you go. Link in the description. Next question. No, just kidding.
Let me see if I can find it.
I think you're way too deep.
Adam's a cool guy.
You think so?
His Instagram is pretty entertaining too. He just is always doing some cool stuff in Colorado, living his best life. Super nice guy. I got to meet him in Sedona and when he came to the shop as well. And yeah, I really like Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And if you ever want to listen to the podcast he was on, I don't remember which
two of them.
Yeah, 2 different ones.
2 of them, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. He talked a lot about founding Revel, bike design, manufacturing, tons of really good stuff. Maybe we'll get him back on the pod at some other point for whatever he's doing next.
Future endeavors.
Or we could get the new CEO, Ben, which we also know now and is an awesome dude. And we were just at Revel in July under Ben's leadership, and everything's humming along and doing just great. Yeah. And yeah, it's all good. Yeah, CEOs leave all the time. Some people, I think my take on it, just being friends with Adam, I think he, built the company, did an incredible job, but he seems to get much more excitement out of starting things and that building process, which is pretty common for a lot of entrepreneurs. It's really fun and exciting to start and build and see something come to fruition. And it's less fun to operate a real business.
Yeah. Don't you kind of call those serial entrepreneurs in a way?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the building it, selling it off, moving on.
Yeah. And anyone who's been entirely responsible for operating a real business will know that, it's certainly not the most fun position. And is kind of more fun to have a few friends and start something from the ground up.
And get some momentum going and stuff.
Yeah. And just get all that going.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. And then operating a real business and dealing with real problems is not so much fun. But he did post about it. If you want to check him out, Adam.Miller907 on Instagram. Back in April 2022, he wrote a couple little paragraphs about that.
2022.
April 22nd,
April
2024.
I was going to say, I was like, that happened this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. April 22
of
2024. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially that's, I believe, what the gist of what he said.
So the gist we know.
Just
I don't
we
know if
know.
there was any public announcements other than what Adam put on his Instagram, which is good.
I don't think there really was.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, fat biking isn't my jam here in Ontario, Canada during the winter. It's pretty snowy and cold,
That means -35.
-35.
And he's in Canada, so I don't know if that's Celsius or Fahrenheit, but
-35 fat biking.
cold as
That is
shit.
that is cold.
Where would you recommend me to go kick up some dirt come winter months, January through March? Looking for some Enduro/XC. Well, I would say good old sunny Southern California is probably the best place in the world to ride.
Best place to ride.
That's
during
quite
January,
good.
March.
Phoenix is quite
Yeah.
good. Tucson is quite good. Those would be my 3 kind of locations.
Head to the Des.
Have you ridden much stuff around the Phoenix area?
I've ridden,
South Mountain
quite
and
a
all that
bit.
stuff?
Quite a
Because
bit
I know
in
you rode
Phoenix.
Tucson last year.
Yeah, quite a bit in Phoenix.
Okay, so you have a good base here. You've ridden basically a whole ton of stuff in Southern California because you live here, and you've ridden the Phoenix area and the Tucson area.
Tucson, Sedona, Flagstaff, like a lot of stuff in Arizona.
So where would you go if you were in Ontario when it was -35 and you had to take a winter riding trip?
Honestly, Phoenix would be a good place
I would pick Phoenix
because you're kind of close to everything, and there's a lot of riding like in the general Phoenix area. But if you wanted to take a little detour to Tucson or a detour to Sedona, it's awesome and super scenic. And you wouldn't be able to go all the way up to Flagstaff because it's snowing up there as well. But
and Sedona is sometimes snowy, sometimes not.
But if it rains there, which it does in the wintertime, it's pretty awesome actually.
Yeah,
temperatures are cool. And you will be very happy you're not in Ontario. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I did a couple years ago, just a little backpacking and pack rafting trip just outside of Phoenix in early February, and it was amazing. It's a perfect temperature for that.
Yeah, I love
so
Phoenix
nice.
and the desert in that time of year. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it is really
A
good.
little chilly at night, perfect during the day.
Yeah.
The riding there is all extremely technical. It's very rocky and there's cactus everywhere too sometimes, and so you have to be kind of aware. Definitely not don't bring a fat bike, but bring some tough casing tires and a little bit of a skill, and you'll have and some fitness too, because it does take some fitness to ride out there.
Yep.
But you'll have a good time.
Yeah, Phoenix also has everything. It's a big city, so there's great food and lodging and flights, and
So that was my other thing. Was like Phoenix is easy to get to, right? So easy to get to and be in for 2 months or so. Yeah,
their airport's great. Like even my mom lives in Tucson, and I fly into Phoenix because it's just better than Tucson.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
All right, this is the next question. Had me laughing. Help! I'm drowning in used rubbers. Dear MTB podcast, I have an embarrassing amount of half-used tires that, let's be honest, I'm never going to run again. I feel terrible just chucking them in the landfill. Do you have any suggestions? Give them away? Recycle? Thanks so much. Your most esteemed listener, Mattis Mudd. P.S. I have pics.
What kind of pics, Matt?
Pics of his used rubbers pile. We were actually talking about this before we started recording the podcast, and we don't really have a good answer, and we are now just punting this question from one listener to all the listeners, because I don't understand how you would recycle something such as mountain bike tires, and if they're chemically recyclable in a way that works, or can you give them to a normal recycling center, or what you should do with them. So please email us the answer to podcast@Worldwide Cyclery, because if there is a good solution, we would love to promote it and talk about it and advise people to do that with their old tires and do it with our own old tires.
But more of a nerdy answer that someone's going to say, yes, of course you can recycle those or reuse them, and give us some long drawn out explanation. We just want to know how to do it. Where do we send them? Does a tire brand do it? Does a normal recycling plant accept stuff like this separately? Do you take them to a tire shop like America's Tire or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So you saw a thing that said tire recycling station in Whistler?
In the Whistler, I took a photo of it. In the Whistler Village, right at the bottom of the lift, they had 2 posts that said Maxxis Tire Recycling Station. And it was just stacked up with 10 or so tires that were just roached right there. And so I don't know what they're doing. That is Canada. Maybe there's different laws, different processes. But what did say Maxxis, so either Maxxis is just putting that there and then bringing it to a local recycling place, or maybe Maxxis has a program that we're unaware of. But I think we've asked before.
Yeah, we have. I mean, I've talked to Andrew, the head of Maxxis North America, and he was actually really interested in that topic, and I asked him about it, and he was just kind of mentioned he's actively really interested in it, and doesn't have a solution yet. But that was a couple of years ago when I had the conversation with him.
Schwalbe might do something in Europe, but not the U.S.
Yeah.
Again, now you get into like, semi-political country stuff and how you recycle stuff and all that.
Yeah, it's like if we throw tires in the recycle here that we have, like where's it actually going?
I don't think we can.
I don't know.
I think we just throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully somebody can email us to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com and tell us what we should do.
Yeah.
And then we can tell Matt as much.
And we can also learn for ourselves.
Yeah, because we're trying to learn here.
We go through a lot of tires here at the shop, and it'd be cool to be a little bit more sustainable with that.
The way I personally do it is I only use tires about 25% of their life, and then I donate them to one of the various staff members, and
then it's their
that's
problem.
The last time I see those tires.
Hey, Jeff, you're really throwing that tire away? Looks brand new.
Yep, you can have it.
Cool.
Somebody always gets use out of the tires after I use them.
Yep, Jeff's used rubbers.
Mm-hmm.
They always get taken around here.
Speaking of tires, we have a quick question about tire widths. This customer or listener lives in Orange County and rides a mix of everything. How do you choose between a 2.4, 2.5, 2.6 tire width? Is it terrain/dirt specific, personal preferences, advantages or disadvantages of each? Thanks for doing what you do. Kettle skid mark shorts and Trail One grips are legit.
That's actually a really good question, because all the time we talk about tire, basically the model of the tire
and the casing
and all these other things, and we just have sort of a overarching behind the scenes assumption people know what widths to buy.
Yeah,
we never really addressed that.
True. Sometimes the combo we want is only available in one width.
Yeah,
we're like, so take 2.6 for instance. Most of the combos that we're riding aren't available in a 2.6.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
2.5 and 2.4 for the
Yeah.
most part.
well, generally the tire manufacturer is going to make the model tires in the widths that are applicable to its tread pattern. So they're going to make an XC tire in widths that make sense for XT, and an enduro tire in widths and casings that make sense for enduro.
Yeah.
That doesn't always ring true, but most of the time it
Most
does.
of the time, yeah.
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 Plus bikes really threw a wrench into all that.
Yeah. And like you have a 2.6 Recon, you have a 2.6 Assegai, but like the casing and the rubber type usually aren't. It's a little bit more like standardized on those. It's not quite like getting down the nitty gritty like a Max Grip double down in a 2.6. I don't think that exists.
Yeah, the more like performance based ones are like pretty kind of set in stone a little
Yeah.
bit.
2.4, 2.5.
2.5, 2.4. Yeah. That is interesting though.
Yeah, I guess if we stay high level on this one, the width you choose is more related to the bike you're on. So XC,
Slightly, yes.
yeah, staying high level. We'll go one level down later, but XC bikes are generally going to run, let's say, 2.0 to 2.35.
Well, if you're going pre-2022,
Yeah,
after 2022,
I know, now
everyone's
they're
on a
getting bigger.
2.3 to 2.5.
even on XC.
XC,
2.5.
yeah. All the specialized riders have been winning. Most of them have been winning on a 2.5 captain this year. It's huge.
Just low pressure.
I'm guessing
big
low
volume.
pressure,
And
big
the
volume,
tread.
low tread pattern.
Yeah,
It's going to roll faster, absorb more bumps. So
That is kind of like the reason why you would run a bigger profile tire versus a smaller profile is the air volume and pressure you can run. Because a big volume tire is going to have bigger contact patch. You can kind of run a lower
Yeah.
pressure and it's going to
Mhm.
absorb more.
from my personal opinion, I think 2.4 is probably where I find the balance of enough air volume that it feels good and I get the bump absorption and I don't hit rim all the time, but it's also not too big where I lose feeling of the bike and the trail and the terrain. So sometimes I'll go 2.5 in the front, but that's like front only. And that's mainly because the Assegai comes in at 2.5 and that's basically all I run on a trail bike or enduro bike. But yeah, to me, that 2.4 width's like the perfect middle ground. If I go larger than that, I'll get a little bit more tire roll and I kind of get more vague feeling to the trail. If you go like 2.3, I feel like I just hit rim and it feels a little harsher than normal. So that's how I choose.
It is something you have to kind of play with too. It's worth just like trying a different tire width every time just to see what you like and what you
Yeah.
don't like and what's going to work for you.
Try someone else's half-used rubbers that's in a 2.5 or
There you
2.6
go.
and, you know,
That's not a bad idea, actually.
see how you like it.
Yeah, that is kind of a hard question, to be honest, because it's gotten so confusing because people make 2.5 cross-country tires, which would never make sense in a million years if you just went back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That tire didn't exist. And then the whole plus bike fad that happened and sort of came and went, they made all of these XC tires in 2.8s, and
Yeah.
that's even more confusing to look at.
Like I've done like I've experimented with that a little bit, running like a 2.6 tire, and you have a huge contact patch and you have a ton of front traction and you can kind of go wherever you want, but it's very vague
Mhm.
and you lose a lot of like that sensitivity. And if you go to like back to a 2.3, like a knobby 2.3 tire, it's very precise and accurate, and a lot of racers like it because of that. But,
Yeah.
again, it's super personal.
Yeah, I will also say another tip. If you just go to our website, everything is sorted by best-selling rank, and you can see the most popular tires that people buy, which is actually pretty useful. And by far and away, it's 2.4s and 2.5s. And if you look at them, it's Minion DHR2s, Recons, Assegais, the Continental Cryptotol 2.4, that's in there. Assegais are in 2.5s because Assegais don't come in 2.4s for some reason.
No,
It's mainly
2.4s, 2.5, 2.5 mainly, and a couple 2.6 variants.
So basically, everybody that's trail/enduro riding, which is the vast majority of our customer and listener base, is 2.4 and 2.5.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare to go.
then-
I mean, I can't remember the last time I ran something bigger than 2.5 or smaller than 2.4. Like I'm
Yeah.
always in 2.4.
It's also pretty normal to run a higher volume, wider front tire and a lower volume, like skinnier rear tire. Just
Yeah.
helps with turning a little bit.
And we're talking like only difference between like a 2.5 front and a 2.4 rear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes 2.5 front, 2.3
Yeah.
maybe, but like going bigger than that, you're going to also start getting some weird vagueness between the two tires. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
One more tire question.
One more tire question. We'll finish off on another one. Last one. Rip it.
I'm an XC racer, weighs about 140 pounds. I have 2.4-inch tires on 30 mil internal rims. I've been running my tires around 20 psi. I ride mainly flowy chills, but they have quite a few rocks, and I'm a pretty aggressive rider, so I don't want to be denting my rims. How can I run my pressure? Is it beneficial to run lower tire pressures than 20? Much love. Love the podcast.
Very much a Liam question.
Yeah. With a nuanced answer, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, like tire pressure is just all about testing, and it's free to test. Get yourself a digital gauge, run a trail, maybe not the rockiest trail you can find, but run a trail, go down to 18 in the front, see how it feels, go 19, go 20, go 21, go 22, and do the same thing in the back. Personally, 2.4 tire, 30 mil internal rim, 20 psi is on the lower side. And if you're not running inserts, you're definitely getting close to rolling that tire off the rim and denting it and or pinch flatting it, all the above. But again, it's just kind of trying it. Like the XC World Cup guys, most of them do run inserts these days, but some of those guys are running like 16 psi. Some of the girls that maybe, they weigh quite a bit less, 110 to 130 pounds. I don't know exactly what they weigh, but I've seen them run like 14 psi on those tires.
That's insane.
Again, they don't have to replace the rims, or they're getting them replaced if they dent them. The tires only have to last one race.
Trying to maximize traction.
So they're maximizing traction. But you can go lower at a detriment to wearing parts out faster. But
I would say try out the insert path.
Yeah.
Especially on the XC bike, like a really lightweight insert allows you to run a low PSI, which really makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Like the Vittoria Airliner Light is a pretty good one. You can run a little bit lower pressure, gives you some rim protection, gets you a little support.
Keeps that squirming feeling under control. Because if you're running 18 PSI without an insert, you're just going to roll that thing off the rim. Like if you hit a corner hard at all, you have to change up your riding style.
Sort of pumping around ruts, or like a quick pump to bunny hop sideways, like the tires just roll.
Like your riding style has to correlate with that low of a PSI. If you're ripping corners like that, it's not going to work.
Earlier in the year when I was running Aspens with inserts, I was running about 19 front, 21 PSI rear. But yeah, I had to totally change my riding style. I couldn't be aggressive in corners, pump stuff, and be careful on jumps, not to G out too hard, or else that tire does weird things and it's pretty unpredictable.
Got to be smooth. But then the rest of the time, it's epic.
Yeah, but yeah, you're doing a flat, just drifty, loose corner that we have around here, and it's great. I have tons of traction. It actually makes a low-profile XC tire work. So,
yeah.
Well,
it's a lot of tacky tire talk tips.
Techie tire talk tips. That's a good one.
And with that, we thank you for listening and or watching thus far. We genuinely appreciate it. It would mean the world to us. If you could, just Google Worldwide Cyclery Trustpilot and drop us a 5-star review there, so we could hide some of those whack job reviews that I mentioned about earlier. And
can we frame a few of those, put them around the office?
There is some very obscure ones that are probably worth framing.
Cool.
But I don't know. I'd rather forget encounters with people such as that.
I might frame it. Put at my desk. Full motivation.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you guys in the next episode.
Thank you.
Cheerio.
See ya.
Love ya.
Bye.